Hampton?
The beauty. I can only say I am quite drunk with it. England's so much more beautiful than I had imagined. I never had very good reports of England somehow. And this house, so romantic, such a repository of treasures, and above all you, the two most beautiful people I have ever seen.
Won't you take off your spectacles? I should so like to see your eyes.
Oh, later, dear Lady Montdor, later, after my paralyzing shyness is quite worn off. They give me confidence, you see, like a mask. I should like my life to be a perpetual bal masqué.
This is Francis Winsham.
I am enchanted to meet you.
How do you do?
I am so happy to be here.
Oh, my dear boy, we're so happy to have you. You should have come before, but we thought you were always in Nova Scotia, you see.
This table. Reisner? Oh. Louis XV. Oh, Fragonard. And Boucher. And what's this? Oh. China with Marie Antoinette's cipher. Oh, how delightful. At Chèvre, we have the Meissen service she brought with her from Vienna. We have many relics of Marie Antoinette, poor dear, at Chèvre.
At Chèvre?
The house in which I live when I wish to be in the country. Oh, the gardens and fountains, literally hundreds of fountains. And then, when I am weary of rural life, I have in Paris an apartment of all beauty, dear Lady Montdor, one's idea of heaven. Lord Montdor, Lady Montdor, do come there. Promise me that you will come.
Oh, well, we shall have to see. Personally, I've never been very fond of France. The people are so frivolous. I greatly prefer the Germans.
Germans? The frivolity of the Germans terrifies even one. I have a German friend in Paris, Lady Montdor, and a more frivolous creature does not exist.
I hope you will make some suitable English friends now, Cedric.
That is what I long for, but please, please, can my chief English friend be you, dearest Lady Montdor?
I think you should call us Aunt Sonia and Uncle Montdor.
May I? May I really? Oh, I am so happy to be here. You seem, Aunt Sonia, to shower happiness around you.
Yes, I do. I live for others. I suppose that's why. The sad thing is, people have not always appreciated it. Well, they're so very selfish themselves.
Aren't they? Aren't they? I have been a victim to the selfishness of people all my life. That German friend I mentioned just now, his selfishness passes comprehension. How one does suffer.
Oh, it's a he, is it?
A boy called Klug. I hope to forget all about him while I'm here. Now, Lady Montdor, dearest Aunt Sonia, after dinner, I want you to do me a very great favor. Will you put on your jewels so I can see you sparkling in them?
Oh, well, really? My dear boy. Well, they're down in the strong room. I don't know when they were last cleaned.
No, please don't say no. Don't shake your head, because ever since I first set eyes on you, I've been thinking of nothing else. You must look truly glorious in them.
Very well. After dinner, the jewels. Tell them to bring up the jewel cases to the long gallery.
Yes, my lady.
Montdor, the keys.
Ah.
Oh, but on this condition, that you take off your spectacles.
Perhaps I could. Yes, I really think the last vestige of my shyness has quite gone.
Anyone can tell you're a Hampton.
And let us never see those horrid spectacles again. Oh, Cedric, you must tell us about your life. When did you leave Canada?
When I was 18, I was sent by my guardian, a banker, to Paris to learn some horrid sort of job.
What sort of job?
Oh, I quite forget, as I never had to go near it. In Paris, it is not necessary to have jobs. One's friends are so very kind.
Oh, really? I always thought the French were rather mean.
Certainly not to one. One's needs are very simple, I admit, but such as they are, they have all been satisfied over and over again.
What are your needs, Cedric?
I need a very great deal of beauty around me. Beautiful objects wherever I look, and beautiful people who see the point of one. Ah, the jewels. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, But no haste. One must create this spectacle with due care, with reverence. Now, first of all, Aunt Sonia, darling, that dress simply won't do. Now, let me see. Oh, yes. Huh? There. Oh, yes. Now then, a little brooch, I think. A nice big diamond brooch. There we are. Now then, have you got some maquillage in your bag, dear, and a comb?
Fanny, dear, my bag?
Oh, I'll get it. There. Thank you, dear. Ah. Oh, naughty you. Horrid cheap stuff that flakes. But never mind. It'll do for now. We've got to show the bone structure. So beautiful. There. Now then, I think we'll have to find you a new coiffeur. It should go back like this. There. Now then. Oh, yes. There. Now, come and take a look. There we are. My turn now.
Well, I must say good night. But before I go, dear boy, I should like you to have this.
Oh, Thomas Gray. So English. Just what I need now I'm here.
The flyleaf may interest you.
Oh, Uncle Montor, what can I say? Oh, the fascination.
Well, I'm so glad you like it.
Now, Aunt Sonia, you really must pat your face more.
Pat?
With nourishing creams, I'll show you. Such a wonderful face you have, but so neglected, starved. I nearly said betrayed. So, we must feed it up and exercise it from now on. And twice a week, you must sleep in a mask.
A mask?
Not like that poor man with the iron contraption, but one that you paint on at night. It goes a little hard, of course, so you must never telephone before you've removed it with a special remover. Because if you telephone with a hard face, you will sound cross. And if it happened to be one at the other end, one simply could not bear it. Oh, these heavenly tourmalines. Such a minor stone, I know, but so lambent somehow. Now, if I lend you these, and you'll lend me this, and this, there. Now, how do I look?
Marvellous. Do you think emeralds would improve me?
Oh, yes, darling, Aunt Sonia. Absolute perfection.
Cedric, I have a teeny confession to make.
Uh-huh.
I really rather like amethyst.
Oh, my dear, and so do I, so long as they are huge dark stones set in glittering diamonds. They look so very becoming on one.
When are you going to introduce him to us?
Not for a while, I think.
Oh, come on, we'd be safe. I suppose it's little Matt you're worrying about.
He goes back to Eton next week. Then you can introduce us.
I don't see why all this worry about me. I can take care of myself with people like Cedric. I've had enough practice at Eton.
Anyone we
Oh,
know?
Matt, do tell.
I might tell. If you lend me a fiver from your running away money.
I'm sorry, Matt. If there's one thing I hold sacred, it's my running away money.
You might tell all the same. I bet that spotty David Harvey from Stow-on-the-Wold had a try. I saw him fancying Matt at Christmas.
I'll tell you all about my sex life at Eton. If Fanny will introduce us all to Cedric Hampton.
Absolutely not. You'll just have to wait.
Goodness, how mean, Fanny. Do admit.
But Fanny, why? We're not poor, simple little us anymore. You know that.
I'm afraid I cannot introduce you to Cedric until your father and mother have met him.
But if that happens, from the sound of it, Fa will just slaughter him with the entrenching tool.
I fear so. What with all the talk of Paris and everything else, Cedric will count with your father as the very prince of sewers.
So regal, darling. Exactly. You want Sonia to bring back all your splendor as Queen of the Raj.
I don't know. Rather overdoing it, perhaps. What do you think, Fanny?
No good asking me. As Cedric constantly reminds me, I'm just a frumpish Oxford housewife who knows nothing about clothes.
No, Fanny. What one said was that you do very well in the country. So wholesome, darling. But that your relatively simple nature isn't suited by the highest sophistications. They require a combination of subtlety and majesty, which we have in magnificent Sonia.
All great nonsense, of course, and transparent flattery. But there is no doubt, Xavier, that Cedric has transformed her life. He's making Montdor very happy, too. Montdor says that Cedric knows more about the 18th century French editions at Hampton than he does himself. Always round happiness.
It is agreeable to see people happy. But I cannot bring myself altogether to like Cedric.
How couldn't you like him, Davy? I absolutely love him.
I have seen too many Cedrics.
Lucky old you. I couldn't see too many.
You, for all your intelligence, are an innocent English rosebud.
Not after all I've heard from you over the years.
Then here's another item for you to treasure. The likes of Cedric, Fanny, always turn nasty in the end. The Ormolu radiance will vanish. And the last state of Sonia will be far worse than her first. I've seen it so often.
I don't believe it. Cedric loves Lady Montdor.
Cedric loves Cedric. Moreover, Fanny, he comes from the jungle. And just as soon as it suits him, he will tear her to pieces and slink back into the undergrowth.
Cedric!
Darling Fanny, door open as usual. So in I popped. Dear Davy, looking so radiant after your last cure. Écoutez bien, I am the bearer of news. Sonia is in the most terrible taking because Polly and Boy, how one longs to meet them, have rented a house in Sicily from Uncle Montdor's old friend, the Principe di Palermo. Now, I've just had the most ghastly job quietening Sonia down.
But why should Sonia object?
But it seems that she and Uncle Montdor spent 2 days of their honeymoon in the house. She, therefore, thinks it tasteless of the Principe to let Polly and Boy have it, and, oh, dears, of Polly and Boy to want it.
Foolish old woman. Why should anyone remember the last little details of her honeymoon?
Try putting that question to Sonia yourself.
You know, I may be able to inspect Polly and Boy in their new home before long. I'm off on a cruise.
How delicious! Where?
To Crete and back. I give a daily lecture based on my book In Sickness and in Health, and go cheap. But the point is that on the way we call at several parts of the Sicilian coast.
Polly and Boy. The absent influence, so boring and overdone in literature. But I see now that in real life it can eat you with curiosity. How one dies to meet them. Oh, describe, Fanny, describe.
Well, she's so beautiful that all you want to do is just gaze and gaze and gaze.
More beautiful than one?
Very much like you, Cedric.
So you may say, but I don't find that you just gaze and gaze at one. You listen carefully, but you do not always look.
She is very much like you, Cedric, but I think she must be more beautiful, just because of this thing about the gazing.
I know exactly why. It's all this horrible shaving. I shall send away to New York this very day for some of this new wax. You can't conceive the agony, Fanny dear, but if it will make you gaze, it will be worth it.
Please don't bother, Cedric. It's not the shaving, it's some little extra thing which Polly has.
You're so lucky not to be a beauty, dear. You'll never know the agony of losing your looks.
Thank you very much.
Since talking about pretty Polly makes us both so disagreeable, let us pass on to Boy.
No gazing there. Boy is old and grizzled and hideous.
Now, Fanny, that is simply not true, dear. I have seen many photographs of Boy. Sonia's scrapbooks are full of them. Boy on his polo pony, Boy in his uniform for the war, Boy with his Indian bearer. Rather a look of Klug, I thought.
Klug?
The German boy I told you about.
The one who was so selfish?
Very, very naughty. He took a fancy to so many of the General's things.
Which general?
One's friend, dear.
The one who owned Beautiful Chev with all the fountains?
No, that was the Baron. The General hadn't much taste.
Klug seemed to think he had.
The General's things were very vulgar, dear, but very expensive. I see a young girl and a delicious boy who are heading straight for us.
Victoria, Matthew, what on earth are you doing here?
Pursuing you both. Basil's nanny said you'd gone for a walk.
We don't want to be pursued.
News, Fan, urgent news.
But we shan't tell till you introduce us.
Anyway, darling, it's so rude not to.
Cedric, these are my cousins, Victoria and Matthew Radlett. Mr. Cedric Hampton.
My dears, I am quite bewitched.
This news!
Jessie's run away.
Sadie's had a cable saying, on way to Hollywood, love.
Hollywood? But she's never been interested in the cinema.
Ah, she did go once, about a month ago. And she's fallen in love with a film star called Carrie Goon. Or Gary Coon, I can't quite remember which.
So she wrote to him asking if he was married and saying that if he wasn't, she'd go straight out there to marry him herself.
So we suppose she got a letter saying he's not married and just went off. Lucky she had her running away money.
What on earth are Aunt Sadie and Uncle Matthew going to do?
Oh, Far thinks the only person that can deal with it is Davy Warbeck. You know how keen Far is on him.
But Davy's off on a cruise.
Of course, people have said that one is quite knowledgeable about the situation.
You stop out of this, Cedric.
Poor old Far. It looks as if he'll have to go chasing off to America himself.
Of course that's too much to ask, bless his heart. The whole thing will just have to simmer down until Davy gets back. Meanwhile, Alchemy's besieged by journalists. And I only hope none of them gets beheaded with the entrenching tool.
Uncle Matt will be glad of new opponents.
Oh, dear, how I wish I was there. And not just for the knockabout. Country. Real country. The great difference between proper country and this hideous Surrey is that in Surrey, when you see blossom, you know there will be no fruit. Think of the Vale of Evesham and then look at this pointless pink stuff with those dreary crozicks waiting at the end of it. You are a brick to come with me. They're fond of you, you know, and your being there will make it all much better.
I don't mind them. Though I've never been on their Surrey ground before. What'll happen?
I will have to hold Moira for a bit. Ugly little thing. Though I must say it does suit her being in Surrey, even if it's not proper country. She loves Pixie Townsend.
Pixie Townsend? New name?
But you'd know the type. Young face with white hair dyed blue.
Married and divorced years ago. Lives near here and has taken a fancy to Moira. And to Moira's father. I'm only too grateful, because now I needn't feel in the least bit guilty. They all get on so much better without me.
My daughter-in-law, you know, Pixie. And this is Mrs. Wincham, Mrs. Townsend.
And where do you hail from, Mrs. Wincham?
Oxford.
Ah, all those dreamy spires and mouldy old dons.
I'm married to one. He's younger than you are.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't know much about the universities.
Clearly not.
As a special treat, I've asked little Moira to take lunch with us. Say hello to Mummy, Moira. My wife will be down in a minute. Now, I must warn you all that we have rather a rough diamond coming to lunch. Son of an ancient professor who lives in the village. The boy's by way of being a communist. Clever chap, gone wrong. Bit of a scribbler on some daily rag. Like to see something of these left-wing fellas. They're quite easy to tame if you take a trouble. His name?
Mr. Talbot.
Ah, my dear chap, how kind of you to come. Now then, Mrs. Wincham, Mr. Talbot, Mrs. Townsend, Mr. Talbot, my daughter-in-law Linda, Mr. Talbot.
Christian Talbot.
And this is Moira, Tony and Linda's little girl. I think perhaps it might be... forgive me, my dear chap.
So, that is yours.
Yes,
She doesn't seem to like me.
that is entirely in your favour.
I think she smells a class enemy.
Whatever she smells, Mr. Talbot, it comes from the same class.
I am long since déclassé, Mrs. Winsham.
You wear your disguise with too much style, and anyway, it's too obvious.
You were to have sat next to Moira at lunch, Linda, with Nanny on her other side, but as it is, I think it might be better if she returned to the nursery.
I'm sorry, Sir Leicester. I seem to have had an unsettling effect on Miss Moira.
No, my dear chap, not at all. It's, just that Moira doesn't see her mother very often.
He certainly had an unsettling effect on me. Rough he may be, communist he may be, gone all wrong he may be, but I think he's pure heaven.
Idyllic.
Torture. Pure torture.
Unbearably hot now.
Unbelievably cold last winter.
Bloody fireplaces smoking all the time. No hot bath water.
Well, of course, it can be rather beastly in Sicily in the winter.
It is beastly in Sicily, full stop.
Cheated the whole time.
And quite expensive enough without that. Everything going to be done tomorrow, but it never is.
And when it is, it's botched.
As for the horrible food...
A little bit oily, I agree.
Swimming in grease. But even the vegetables are rotten.
But surely Sicily is rather famous for its vegetables.
Rotten vegetables. At least, as far as we're concerned. Because although we grow our own, the gardener sells all the sound ones in the village and pockets the money. Just as my maid sells my stockings and the best blankets.
The one she's left us was stiff as boards. You can't sleep.
Or apparently do anything else. You just lie there, waiting for day. Waiting for the bare half hour at dawn when the vile mosquitoes have gone. Before this ghastly heat begins.
It's wonderful how you've come on the last few months, Aunt Sonia. All those cruel bags and pouches gone. Well, almost. And your hair, my dear Botticella's Venus, simply isn't in competition. Oh, there was one thing I was wondering. I have, well, an acquaintance who's a specialist at certain kinds of, well, let's call it handicraft here, and I was wondering whether you'd ask Uncle Montor to employ him to do expert cleaning and repairs under my very own supervision on some of the lovely things you have round the place that need it. Constant vigilance being an absolute necessity, as I'm sure you'll be the first to admit. Don't try and speak, dear. It'll only upset your face. Just nod your head like this, if you agree to ask Uncle Montor. Oh, thank you, Aunt Sonia. None of us will regret this, I promise you. I'll speak to Uncle Montor myself to save you the trouble. So, you see, my darling, she's really been most kind and reasonable, doing everything one suggests. Of course, I shall have to be a little careful she doesn't find out that what dear Trevor really specializes in is one, but nobody can say that she's been grudging.
All things considered, she owes you a few favors.
Very much my view, darling. The only trouble is, I'm going to have to be rather strict with Sonia soon. I'm not quite sure how she's going to take it.
Strict?
Well, you see, she really has come on very well lately. I mean, she does begin to look like a vice-reign and not just some dowdy 5-star memsahib. But there is one little flaw. Well, it's not so little when you come to think of it.
her figure.
A bit ample, one does see.
My dear, kilos and kilos of it, and all in the worst places. It's all that stodgy Hampton food, and my dear, she's so greedy. Just like a boa constrictor. Or should it be constrictress, swallowing whole camels, or whatever it is they do?
But if she's happy with her kilos, why not let her keep them?
Because I want her to take herself seriously and become perfect in her way. You see, darling, I do rather love her. Well, at least I love creating her, and of course she adores one, and one must not let her down.
She may not adore one quite so much when one tells her she's a greedy old boa constrictor or constrictress.
Well, of course, one will raise the topic a little more discreetly, but the thick and the thin of it is that she will simply have to go to a place in the bitter end and drop about half a hundredweight. Still, I think that little problem can wait a little while until I've installed lovely Trevor to polish up a few of the objects.
Fanny!
Ah! Here's delicious Davy, home from his cruise like Ulysses from Troy, darling, with twice as much news to tell by the look of him. Now sit down, my dear, and tell your two Penelopes absolutely everything.
Well, I might as well start off by telling you that I don't think Polly and Boy are at all happy.
Now, Davy, dear, you're going much too fast. New readers begin here. Now then. You left your boat.
So, always, Ryan, rather dispiriting. There they are, living in paradise, sending up one long wail.
How do they look?
Boy, very silly in shorts.
And Polly, beautiful?
Oh, less beautiful. Perhaps because of the heat, which she simply loathes. And lunch was no sooner over than she was in her room with everything drawn, and I had a session alone with Boy, and then I really saw how the land lay. I know it's wrong to arouse the sexual instincts of little girls so that they fall madly in love with you, but poor Boy is taking a frightful punishment. Apart from that, he has literally nothing to do from morning until night except water his geraniums, and that's not doing them much good.
But I thought Boy was so fond of dukes. I mean, Sicily is full of the most heavenly dukes.
Fairly heavenly, and they're nearly always somewhere else. In any case, he doesn't count them the same as French and English dukes.
Well, that's absolute nonsense. I mean, nobody could be grander than Pincio. But if he doesn't count them, and I do see that some of them are a bit unreal, and he's got to live abroad, why on earth doesn't he choose Paris?
My dear Cedric, they are very poor.
Oh, dear. When you think of how rich Polly would have been.
No cruel looks at one. Fair is fair, you know.
Anyway, it's a shocking business. Just goes to show you where dear old sex can land you.
Oh, dear. If Boy isn't happy, then Polly can't be either. Poor Polly.
Was her idea. And I think that Polly is having a spot of trouble with Boy.
The old trouble.
The old trouble? Oh, do explain to poor ignorant one.
When Boy was married to Patricia, he liked little girls and kitchen maids, if possible in combination.
I see. So now he's chasing 12-year-old kitchen maids round and round the pasta pot.
No, it is not the 12-year-old kitchen maids he chases round the pasta pot.
So that over and over again, one comes back to the great rule. Since all men are equal, we must take from each according to his talents and give to each according to his needs.
But that somehow makes it sound as though all men aren't equal. I mean, if some can give more than others, and others need more than
They
some...
are morally and politically equal. Of course, some men are more able than others, and it is their duty and privilege to provide for their comrades and brothers, as they now do in Russia.
So bravo, Russia. Yes, bravo, Mother Russia. Prison camps and all, Christian. Execution, censorship, and all the rest of
Who
it.
told you that?
It is rather in the air, you know.
Yes. Put there by a corrupt and lying capitalist press. We've got a meeting about that soon. To protest against the falsification and bias of the British press. Tomorrow afternoon, by Jove, in Battersea Town Hall. And in the evening, the party for the Ethiopian students in Paddington Baths. Busy day.
If you don't mind, Christian, I had got a party of my own to go to tomorrow. Just this once.
What party? Whose?
An old friend, name of Chadsley Corbett.
Ah, yes. The brilliant and fashionable flapper.
Not so fashionable anymore. Rather sad.
But still rich. Champagne and caviar.
I I suppose.
And you thought of getting your jewels out of the bank?
I shall simply wear one of my old dresses, Christian. Veronica will understand.
That you've gone off with a penniless revolutionary? We must all make allowances for poor Linda, my dears. Very tolerant, the Veronicas of this world. So superior, they think nothing can ever unseat them. They'll learn. Oh, yes, they'll learn.
Then you mustn't grudge me a little fun with them first.
You're your own mistress, Linda. You go where you like tomorrow night. If you go to your friend, name of Chadsley Corbett, I don't think I shall much want to see you when I get back from Paddington Bath.
Fuller's walnut cake. You'll never know how I longed for this sort of thing in Sicily. Do you remember how we used to come here from Alconby? It seems a century ago.
What made you come back?
Remember my old Auntie Edna? In the Grace and Favour House in St James's Palace? Well, the good old girl died and left me all her money, although Mummy tried to stop her. Not very much, but we think we can afford to live at Silking. Then Boy's writing a book. He's had to come back for that. London Library in Paddington.
Paddington?
Duke of.
Oh, yes. He came to Louisa's coming-out ball. He must be about 1,000 years old by now.
Don't be so silly, Fanny. He fought in the war with your Uncle Matthew. Anyway, he's got this muniment room which Boy wants to go through for his book. Then there's this baby. One can't have them in Sicily, poor things, not a cow in the place. But I don't think Boy wants to settle down here for good. I think he's still frightened of Mummy, you know. I know I am. Not frightened exactly, but bored by the idea of scenes. There's really nothing more she can do to us, is there?
I don't think you need worry about her. She's changed completely in the last year or so. There's someone new in her life.
Cedric Hampton. So I hear. I remember that when I was a little girl, I used to look up to see if he would do.
Well, he wouldn't have done. That's one thing quite certain.
So I imagine.
I really think he loves your mother, you know. He's such a slave to her. Never leaves her side for a moment. Always in such high spirits. I don't believe anyone could put it on to that extent. It must be love. And she certainly loves him.
But is she in love with him?
In love? I don't know. She loves him like anything. We make such fun for you see. But she must know that ladies... Well, falling for him wouldn't be quite his thing, poor Cedric.
No, I don't agree. Boy and I are certain she knows nothing whatever about all that. He says she once made a fearful gaffe about sodomites, mixing them up with the Dolomites. It was all over London. So my guess is that she doesn't know about Cedric, and that she's in love with him. She's a great faller in love, you know. I used to think at one time that she rather fancied Boy, but Boy says not.
Front door open, Fanny, so I...
Oh, yes, of course, that's quite all right. Tea?
Oh, tea.
Oh, never mind, I can soon get some more made.
No, don't bother, we must go. I suppose you've lost the key of the car, as usual.
No, here it is, on my keyring.
Quite a miracle. Goodbye then, darling. I'll telephone soon from Silken.
Bye, Fanny.
It was clear just in those few seconds, Alfred. She's not in love with him anymore.
Do you never think of anything but who is or is not in love with whom?
But this is very sad, Alfred. After all, she's carrying his child.
It's the child I'm sorry for.
Fanny. Darling. I want to talk to Fanny, boy. Don't you hang around pestering us. Go and get on with your work. I know, darling, but it's all for his own good. He pretends he can't concentrate until after the baby now, so he wanders about getting on everybody's nerves when he ought to be getting on with Paddington's documents. He must hurry, you know, if the book's to be out for Christmas. He's still got Sauveterre to do. Have you ever met Geoffrey Paddington, Fanny?
Yes, I told you.
He comes to see Boy about the book. And quite often he pops in on me for a chat. He sent all these flowers, which he shouldn't have done because he's not at all rich. For a duke, anyway. That'll be him now. I do hope Boy brings him up.
I expect they've got work to do together. What are you going to call him, if it's a boy?
I hadn't really thought. What about you?
If it's a boy, and I'd like another boy to be a friend for Basil, we're going to call him David.
Why shouldn't a girl be a friend for Basil? Wonder what's keeping Geoffrey.
Girls can't play cricket.
I brought Geoffrey Paddington, Polly.
Little Fanny Logan, the boater's girl.
Wincham.
From the Alchemy Ball.
Caviar. Oh, Geoffrey. Sorry you've got to be going so soon, Fanny. Boy will see you out on the way back to his study.
No, darling, naughty. Now remember what I told you about your figure.
Oh, please, Cedric, just one more.
Oh, very well, Aunt Sonia, you can have one more. You can even have two more.
Two?
Yes, two, Aunt Sonia. On condition, Aunt Sonia, that you go to that place I told you about for a fortnight's diet.
That one Davy Warbeck's gone to?
Well, yes, darling, only he went there to put on weight after all his exhausting lectures he did on his cruise, whereas you, my darling, will be going there to take it off. Now, remember, you eat that muffin, and you are solemnly contracted to go to that place on a diet.
Well, I don't suppose it'd be too bad. Lots of egg salads and things.
Half a carrot a day and some warm turnip juice at bedtime, if you're lucky. Anyway, it's too late to back out now because you've eaten that muffin.
She doesn't behave like a mother-to-be. She's far more interested in the Duke of Paddington.
I shouldn't lose any sleep over her.
Even more worrying is this business of Linda and Christian Talbot. She's definitely going to move in with him now. Tony will have to take steps, as Uncle Matthew used to say. I wonder if there's anything I can do to help. Whether I ought to try and dissuade her.
Fanny, come here.
After all, she's my oldest and dearest friend. So special, Alfred.
Linda Crosick, née Radlett, is a grown woman, believed by her acquaintances to be sane and known to be self-willed. She will therefore do what she will do, and the consequences will be what they will be. And she, and fate alone, must take the blame.
Well, as usual, there's a good deal in what Alfred says. But I still think I might have done something to deter Linda, if I'd only been in England.
But you weren't. You were amusing yourself in Venice.
Don't be governessy, Francis. That will help nobody. How far has it gone?
She's written from his address.
Disaster. I've known Christian from a child. The women who've been in love with him have suffered bitterly because he's not even noticed that they're there. I expect he's hardly aware that Linda's moved in on him. Linda and Christian Talbot. It's as bad as can be.
She wasn't happy with Tony.
Well, nobody expected her to be. The point is that she's out of the frying pan and into the empty grate.
I think she was attracted by the communist bit of it. Linda's always felt the need of a cause.
Oh, my dear Fanny, I think you're mixing up cause with effect. Christian's an attractive fellow, and I quite see that he'd provide the perfect reaction to Tony, but the thing is quite catastrophic. I mean, if she's in love with him, he'll make her miserable. But if she's not, it means that she's embarked on a career like your mother's. And that, for Linda, would be very bad indeed. And no money either, of course. And she needs money. She should have it. What are they living on?
Very little. Linda has a small allowance from Uncle Matthew, I believe. And I suppose Christian makes something from his journalism. I hear the Crosigs are saying that there is one good thing. She's bound to starve.
Oh, they are they? Can I, have that new address of Linda's, please? Thank you. I'm on my way to London now.
See what you've done to your mother? On top of all this wretched business with Jessie. Divorce, indeed. We Radlets believe in sticking. Married is married, and once is enough. There's never been a divorce before in this family.
There will be now, Far.
Got you, my lad! Another steward of a journalist, hanging round for news of your sister. You, Victoria, go and get my entrenching tool. And once my headed 8 journs of that entrenching tool, you're pretty scraggy in the neck. We'll have yours off in one.
Oh, no, my lord, please.
Then be
no.
off with you, or the entrenching tool it is, if I catch you around here again. So you understand this, miss. You'll now be driven to Oxford Station, and away from this house forever.
When Linda came to see me before catching a train from Oxford, the first thing she asked for, most unlike her, was a drink.
Goodness, I'd forgotten how terrifying Far can be. Poor Mummy looks simply miserable. She was furious, too. Accused me of betraying and deserting Moira. And when I told her I was already in Christian's flat, she nearly exploded. In their book, I'm absolutely the Scarlet Woman from now on.
How are you getting on in the flat?
Oh, how dreadful it is. Especially the cooking. That oven. And the cruel hot blast hitting you in the face when you open it. I don't wonder people sometimes put their heads in and leave them there out of sheer misery. Oh, no more about all that, darling, please.
What about Tony? How's he taken it?
Oh, he's awfully pleased, actually, because now he can marry Pixie Townsend without being the guilty party and upsetting the Conservative Association. And Christian is heaven. He's a frightfully serious communist, you know. And so am I now. We're surrounded by comrades all day, and they're terrific Hans.
Yes, darling, but what about Christian?
Perfect heaven, darling. You must come and stay. Or perhaps that wouldn't be very comfortable. Come and see us.
I do hope he cares for you.
Well, I think he does. He just is very strange and absent-minded.
What are your plans?
Well, he says he's going to marry me when I'm divorced. That's one thing he seems quite clear about. I think it's rather silly. I agree with Daddy that once is enough, though I mean it differently, of course. The thing is, it will be bliss not to be called Crosig anymore.
So, what with this and that, it's getting us down a bit. There's no arguing with Linda, you know that. Once she gets some man into her head, and she did with that damn Crosig, now this bloody Talbot, she'll have him if the rest of us rot for it. But there's one thing we can get straight. Jessie.
Any word from Hollywood?
No. Now you finish this damn silly cure of yours and not writing another book, we want you to go and find her. You're the only chap I know who could bring it off.
Madly inconvenient, just as I've started on this new course of picure. But of course I'll go Matthew, in all the circumstances. But there will be one tiny delay.
Oh, that's all right, Davy. Busy fellow and all that.
You see, if I'm to cross the Atlantic, and all of America, I must have a new medical chest run up. The old one's quite worn out. You know, travelling is so debilitating. And who knows what germs they may have in Hollywood.
Damn fellow you are. Think of everything, don't you?
I'm very sorry, my lord, but you're wanted on the telephone.
Tell him I'm still at dinner.
It's Lady Elkenley, my lord.
Well, she better have something worth saying.
Oh, Patry, could you please telephone Throstle and Thrush, the cabinet makers, and make an appointment for me with old Mr. Throstle for 3:30 tomorrow afternoon?
Very good, Captain Warbeck.
Thank you. Compartment for aperients. Another for powders, to soothe and, if necessary, seal the bowels. Rack for a bottle of concentrated lime juice, in case of scurvy on board ship. Ah, memo. Some left over from cruise. Ample compartment for snake bite serum and antidotes to wounds caused by poisoned arrows, etc. Even more ample compartment for bottles of brandy and whiskey. Medicinal, of course, for when I'm crossing teetotal states. A drawer for anti-sex tablets. Stop me making a fool of myself over those film stars. Oh, my goodness, Matthew, dear. You do look peculiar.
It's young Matt. His tutor rang up Sadie from Eton. He's gone. He's gone to fight in Spain. At least, that's what all his friends at Eton say. Can you beat that?
Which side?
What does it matter? Bloody foreigners on both sides. The point is, Davy, the point is the boy's got off his arse and has gone off to fight. So here's his health. In bumpers.
Porter. So acid-making. But just this once, I do see.
Young Matt.
Young Matt.
Damn his eyes!